4th. I'm going to call the Washoe County Planning Commission to order. I have a little introductory statement I want to read here for those that are visiting us on Zoom. Any participants wishing to speak via Zoom shall sign in to Zoom with their first and last names, identify themselves with their first and last names when they're called upon. If you're a member of the public and you wish to speak, then please only click the raise your hand prompt symbol during the public comment portion of the item you wish to speak on. You will only be called upon to speak during the public comment periods. All panelists on Zoom should mute their mics until they're ready to speak. If anyone's having difficulty hearing the audio through Zoom, it may be helpful to use earbuds. So, that being said, I'm going to call on Patricia to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, excuse me, determination of quorum.
Larry Chesney.
Oh, here.
Francine Dodchick.
Here.
Thomas Bruce. Here. Sarah Savilchek. Here. Kate Nelson.
Here.
Larry Payton.
Here.
Patricia Phillips. We have a quorum.
Okay. Patricia, would you lead us in the pledge, please? Moving right along here. Council Edwards, are you with us, sir?
I am, and I think you're about to ask me to read the ethics statement.
You are a mind reader. Would you please read the ethics law announcement for us?
I will, and you got to give me just a second here because my computer is being fussy with me about pulling that up. So give me just a second while I do that, okay?
Okay.
All right, got it. All right, Planning Commission members are reminded that if with respect to any matter or any person coming before the board today, 1, you have received a gift or loan. 2, you have a pecuniary interest. 3, you have a commitment in a private capacity, such as a family, employment, business, or similar relationship. Or 4, you provided representation or counseling before an agency to a person or entity for compensation within the last year on a matter being considered tonight. Then you must disclose that gift, loan, interest, commitment, or prior representation at the time the matter is being considered. And you must furthermore abstain from deliberation or voting on the matter if it is clear that the gift, loan, interest, commitment, or prior representation would materially affect the independence of judgment of a reasonable person. Planning Commission members are also reminded that under the Planning Commission rules, if you have had any contact outside this meeting with any persons interested in a matter coming before the Planning Commission tonight, then you should disclose the nature of that contact at this meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Roger Phelan is in for Trevor Lloyd tonight as secretary. Could you read the appeal procedure for us, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Most decisions rendered by the Planning Commission are appealable to the Board of County Commissioners. If you disagree with the decision of the Planning Commission and you want to appeal its action, you may do so in writing within 10 calendar days from the date that the decision being appealed is signed by the Planning Commission Chair and/or the Secretary of the Planning Commission, filed with the Secretary of the Planning Commission, and mailed to the original applicant in the proceeding being appealed in accordance with Washoe County Code. please call planning staff immediately at 328-6100 for information on the appeal procedure and application fee.
Thank you, Roger. Going to move on to item 5 on the agenda, general public comment. Is there any general public comment?
No public comment.
Seeing no general public comment, before we move to approve the agenda, Secretary Phelan, would you like to tell us about 2 items that will be moved to a special meeting on November 16th, Monday, November 16th?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Due to an error in noticing, I would like to request that item 8A and item 8D, the first being amendment of conditions, case number WAC 20-0002, Dodge Flat Solar Major Grading for special use permit, case number WSUP 17-0021, and tentative subdivision map, case number WTM 20-004, Highland Village, be postponed to a special meeting, again to be held on November 16th.
Thank you. Council Edwards, do we need a motion to move those, or can we just approve the agenda with that exception?
Let's see here. I think it's probably helpful if you do a motion to approve the agenda, but include in that motion what Roger just said about those 2 items being moved to the special meeting on November 16th. Does that make sense?
Okay, it sure does, yeah, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda with the exception to move items 8A and 8D, thank you, I can handle this, to a special meeting on November 16th?
Chair Chesney,
Commissioner Savilacek.
I move to approve the agenda with the exception of pulling item 8A and 8D to a special meeting, which will be held on November 16th.
Chair Chesney, this is Francine. I make a second to that motion.
Okay. A motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so I guess we'll have to make a roll call vote.
I think she was approving. It just was delayed.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Was that an aye for approval of the agenda or an aye against the?
An aye to approve.
Okay, thank you.
An aye, yeah.
Okay. So that was Commissioner Nelson. I just got a little ahead of her approval. Okay, so I think we're good to go. I'd like a motion to approve the minutes of the October 6th, 2020 draft minutes.
Chair Chesney,
Yes.
this is Commissioner Dotrick. I move to make a motion to approve the minutes from the October 6th, 2020 meeting.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Doncheck. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes. We're going to move on to item 8, public hearings. 8A has been moved to the 16th. So it will be 8B, abandonment case number WAB 20-0004, Lipkowitz Abandonment. Roger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Abandonment case number WAB 20-0004, Lipkowitz Abandonment. For possible action, hearing, and discussion to approve an abandonment of Washoe County's interest in the 15-foot wide bridle path and utility easement on the eastern portion of the property. The easement in question runs 293 feet along the eastern boundary of the property from the property's northern boundary to its southern boundary. The proposed abandonment also includes 192.5 square feet of the subject easement along the northern boundary of the property, beginning with its intersection with the eastern boundary. If approved, the county's abandoned interest in the easement would be transferred to Matthew and Holly Lipkovitz, owners of the abutting property, and further, if approved, authorize the chair to sign an order of abandonment to this effect. To present this evening, we have Chris Bronzik for Washoe County.
Okay, before Chris, do we have any disclosures, either ethics or ex parte communications from any of the commissioners on this item? Seeing none, Chris, you have the floor.
I apologize. Give me just a second. Sorry about that. Chris Bronzik, Washoe County Planning. We are looking at WAB 20-4. This is the Lipkowitz Abandonment, located at 185 East Laramie Drive. The request is to abandon Washoe County's interest in the 15-foot wide bridle path and utility easement located on the eastern portion of APN 050-045-11. To the left, you can see a red outlined indicator of where this abandonment is located. As mentioned, the easement does run 293 feet along the eastern boundary, and the proposed abandonment also does include that 192.5 square feet of the subject easement to the north. So the bridle path easement and the utility easement were established in 1961 with the recordation of the final map for Pleasant Valley Ranchos Unit 2. And this is an exhibit within your staff report. So this existing bridle path and utility easement does go around the entire perimeter of the subdivision and throughout the development. It does appear on staff's going to this location and looking around the neighborhood that there are many instances of the existing easement having been developed upon. Additionally, there are areas within this subdivision that shows drainage areas and extremely steep slopes. So within Pleasant Valley Ranchos Unit 3, there are certain parts of this easement, obviously not on the owner's property, but there are certain parts of this easement that are on 30 plus slopes. Due to that, staff was okay with moving forward with this abandonment. The applicant did provide staff with a relinquishment from MV Energy and AT&T. Additionally, as part of this review process, we did send this case to Charter Communications as well. We did not receive any comments back from them. Again, based off of our visit to this location, staff did conclude that the bridle path and utility easement, one, are likely to never be built due to the age and how it simply hasn't been. And additionally, the feasibility just isn't there due to all that development that has occurred within this easement. The notice was sent to 23 property owners. These property owners were within that Unit 2 and where this easement would have gone through and continued. This abandonment was presented to the South Truckee Meadows Washoe Valley Cab on October 1st. No questions were asked by cab members, and the application was unanimously recommended for approval. These are just a number of the reviewing agencies that did take a look at this application. Abandonment findings. So the required findings would be conformance with the master plan, no detriment, and existing easements. Washoe staff is recommending approval with conditions for WAB 20-4, and I've provided a possible motion above. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Do any of the commissioners have a question of staff? I do. Just for general knowledge, does this existing easement have a drainage in it as shown in the picture on page 6 of your report?
Ms. Bronzik, planning? No, this does not have any drainage associated with it. That was just to kind of show the members of the commission that throughout the development, sometimes this easement does show drainage easement, and it's not a recognized drainage easement. It is simply a bridle path easement and a utility easement.
Great, thanks, Chris. So, do you have does the applicant have any presentation? Anybody know?
Good evening, commissioners. Matt Lipkowitz, the applicant. I do have a presentation to present. I think Chris hit most of the slides that I had, but just would like to present it to you guys just to give you a little further information on the reasoning for the request of abandonment. If you give me 1 second here, I will share my screen. So again, as outlined, that Chris had shown in his report, the area of abandonment or where the easement currently sits on that left-hand side there, that red outlined rectangle with the arrow pointing to it, along with the original track map that was created back in 1961 when the neighborhood was mapped. I believe one of the original reasons for the bridle path and utility easement was that the individual or the developers of this neighborhood did not own the property to the east at the time. So it made sense at that time to have the bridle path surround the entire neighborhood for equestrian purposes and things of that nature. However, at some point in time, the land to the east of ours was developed, and eventually there were roads that were created to basically encircle our property, which I'll have here on the next slide. Just a few things for support for the abandonment. Both, as Chris had mentioned, NV Energy and AT&T have relinquished their utility easements on our easterly side. They do have utility easements on our western boundary, which are the ones that are in use. They have never done anything on the easterly side of our property. And in talking with them during the relinquishment process, they said that the westerly side easements would satisfy any items that they needed as far as services were concerned. And then touching on Sour Lane and Concho are the two roads that now intersect with East Laramie Drive, allowing full access to any individuals to the BLM land that surround our neighborhood. The easements themselves don't seem like they've been used in a very long time. As Chris had mentioned, there's a lot of vegetation, natural growth vegetation. They really haven't been maintained as well as it seems like some folks around the neighborhood have built sheds, or there's been trees planted, fences put up, things of that nature, kind of restricting access in general. And then lastly, we've had some pretty serious drainage issues ourselves on our property since we moved in 2016. We would like to take the opportunity with the approval of the abandonment to truly fix those issues. I've included some pictures here momentarily showing some of the drainage issues that we've had. It would be nice to be able to assess and mitigate any of the drainage issues without needing to worry about pedestrian or equestrian traffic along that easement. Just the copies of the relinquishments from both AT&T and NV Energy. Again, here's that map showing the full development of Concho and Sawyer Lane that intersect with East Laramie, allowing access to any BLM land that any individuals would like to access. Some pictures. Our property is on the far left with the trailer and the tree. Our neighbors to the south of us, you can see the natural vegetation along their bridle path easement. A neighbor to the north of us have some fencing and gates and natural vegetation as well. And then the neighbors beyond them, again, have another fence with some trees and a shed and things of that nature. Here's some pictures of the drainage issues that we experienced in 2016 when we first moved into the property. Pretty serious issues with water flow. One of the main things we're planning on doing is a garage renovation to get it up to appropriate grade and to allow the drainage to follow that fence line down to the creek rather than coming into our garage that you can see there. We had to sandbag at the time. We had about 1.5 feet of water going through our driveway during that time. So we'd like to take the opportunity to fix any of those issues as well. And then there's just kind of a sample drawings that we've been working on with an engineer as to the remodel we'd like to do with the garage area. And it does go all the way to the 12-foot setback as currently drawn. Happy to answer any questions anybody may have.
Any commissioners have any questions of the applicant? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
So seeing no questions, we'll move on to public comment. Do we have any public comment on this?
No public comment.
Seeing there's no public comment, any further commission questions of staff or the applicant? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Any discussion of any of the commission members? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a motion.
Chair Chesney?
Commissioner Stefanichuk.
Yes, I move that after giving reasoned consideration to the information contained in the staff report and the information received during the public hearing, the Washoe County Planning Commission approve with the conditions included as Exhibit A to this matter, abandonment case number WAB20-0004 for Matthew and Holly Lipkowitz, having made all three findings in accordance with the Washoe County Code Section 110.806.20.
We have a motion by Commissioner Stefanichuk. Do we have a second?
Chair Chesney, Commissioner Donchik, I move to I second.
Second by Commissioner Donchik. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes unanimously. Okay. That being done, we will move on to agenda item 8C, Grandview Terrace. Our Secretary Fellon, would you like to enlighten us as to
With pleasure, Mr. Chairman. Our next is a two-part item. The first of those two parts being tentative subdivision map case number WTM 20-003, Grandview Terrace, for possible action, hearing, and discussion to approve a tentative map for an 18-lot common open space residential subdivision on 6.86 acres. This proposed subdivision also includes major grading in the following amounts: 9,600 cubic yards of grading with up to 12,000 cubic yards of import. It also allows reductions in lot sizes and building setbacks. The proposed setbacks for the front are 20 feet to the garage, 10 foot to the building, 5-foot side yard setbacks, and 15-foot rear yard setbacks. Lots will range from a minimum of 6,122 square feet to a maximum lot size of 15,242 square feet, with an average lot size of 8,471 square feet. The second part of this request is variance case number WPVAR 20-0005, also Grandview Terrace. Also, for possible action, hearing, and discussion to approve variances from Washoe County Code Section 110-438-45B to allow fill to differ from the natural or existing grade by more than 48 inches within the within the yard setbacks. From Washoe County Code Section 110-438-45C to allow the finished grade to vary from natural slope by more than 10 feet in elevation, maximum of 15 feet. And from Washoe County Code 110-438-45E to allow retaining walls within the side and rear yard setbacks to exceed 4.5 feet in height to a maximum of 10 feet. And again, representing Washoe County, Chris Bronzik.
Chris, just before you start, are there any disclosures by any of the commissioners, either ethics or ex parte communication? Seeing none, Chris, you got the floor.
Good evening, Chris Bronzik, Washoe County Planning. As mentioned, we are looking at tentative subdivision map case number WTM 20-3 and variance case number WPVAR 20-5, both for Grandview Terrace. Give me just a second. For some reason, it's
You pictures?
Was that a hamster? That's not on the agenda.
all right, guys. I'm on a computer other than my own, so this is a little bit funky. Can you see the presentation? Okay. Again, I apologize for that. Chris Bronzik, Washoe County Planning. So the subject property is located off of North Virginia and Lemon Drive. It is a infill development that is being proposed, and it is south of US 395 North. This is located within the North Valleys area plan. So it is a 18-lot single-family residential common open space tentative subdivision map. And lots are ranging from 6,122 square feet to 15,242 square feet in size. The average lot size is 8,471 square feet. It should be noted that within this small development, hillside ordinance is triggered, but it's triggered by the slopes that are within the drainage channel. And these slopes are already existing. They're man-made. So the intent of Article 408 is to set forth regulations to permit variations to lot size, including density transfer subdivisions. These are all required to meet a common open space development. One is to preserve open space, to protect natural and scenic resources, to achieve a more efficient use of land, minimize road building, and encourage a sense of community. The proposed development does meet these requirements. However, within the site plan, you're going to notice that there's almost a horseshoe lot towards the south That's basically all roads. Unfortunately, due to the constraints of this parcel, the infill nature of this parcel, and the drainage channel going through the center of the parcel, it's a bit difficult for those horseshoe-like extensions of this parcel to be used for anything other than access. So I've provided a density and site breakdown. As you can see, there are 3 parcels associated with this subdivision, with acreages totaling in 6.86. The zoning is medium density suburban, which allows for a maximum density of 3 dwelling units per acre. And I've broken down the allowed units per parcel. Combined, we get a total of 20.58 allowed dwelling units. And the proposal again is 18 lots, which is within that allowed maximum density. Additionally, I've also broken down the acreage and percent of site associated with this development: common open space, developable area, and right of way. As you can see, the open space and developable area is relatively close at 2.63 acres and 3.5 acres. As mentioned, the proposed setbacks are being requested to be varied by the applicant, as well as the lot width. Within this chart, I've provided proposed setbacks as well as the standard setbacks within the medium density suburban regulatory zone. With the front, we're looking at a 20-foot to the garage and 10-foot to building. Standard setbacks are 20 feet. Side, we're looking at proposed 5-foot, standard is 8. And the rear, we're looking at proposed 15-foot setbacks, with the standard being 20 feet. The lot width is also being proposed for reduction by 30 feet to a proposal of 50 feet. So with all new subdivisions, there are impacts to Washoe County School District. The Washoe County School District did reach out to us and provide a breakdown of the anticipated impact with 4 elementary school students, 2 middle school, and 2 high school. This development is zoned for Lemon Valley Elementary, O'Brien Middle, and North Valleys High School. Washoe County School District did not look at this as a heavy impact to the school district. So as with this proposed development, there is grading associated with it, and that's because, again, this is that infill site. These are man-made, already disturbed areas that have been let go to become naturally vegetated since that disturbance. So we're looking at 9,600 cubic yards of cut, 21,300 cubic yards of fill, with another 12,000 cubic yards of import. The applicant is requesting a variance of 3 standards within Article 438, the grading code. So 110-438-45B is to allow fill to differ from the natural or existing grade by more than 48 inches within the yard setbacks. 438-45C is to allow the finished grade to vary from natural slope by more than 10 feet. And 438-45E is to allow retaining walls within the side and rear yard setbacks to exceed 4.5 feet. The applicant did provide us a diagram or site plan that highlighted all the areas associated with the variances. So hopefully it's clear enough, but the purple lines associated with this are primarily within that horseshoe area lot in the center. And that's for the retaining walls exceeding 6 feet in height. And we're looking at roughly 300 linear feet of variance needed for various retaining walls throughout the site. Additionally, they've provided in red cuts exceeding 10-foot depth and in blue, fills exceeding 10 foot. So notice was sent to 70 affected property owners, and this was presented twice to the North Valley Citizen Advisory Board. The first time on September 14th, 2020. This meeting, the Citizen Advisory Board members did request that this be continued and heard again for the October 12th meeting. The reason being is we had met with the applicants not pretty quickly before this September 14th meeting and requested updated plans as well as a variance associated with it. So at the October 12th meeting, the Citizen Advisory Board was able to hear the full application. Some of the comments included sidewalks being provided, drainage mitigation, traffic concerns, and type of walls being used within the retaining area. As well as how many floor plans were allowed, types of floor plans, and types of mobile homes, manufactured homes that would be placed in this development. The Citizen Advisory Board did vote unanimously to recommend approval to the Planning Commission. Lastly, within the conditions of approval, it should be noted that there's a 50-foot access easement that came into contention with a neighbor and legal input. So we placed a condition 1.0, which states structures within the existing 50-foot access easement are not permitted. The access easement shall be abandoned prior to development of Lot 8. Staff has discussed this with the applicant, and we are proposing to amend that to state the access easement shall be partially abandoned. So we'd just be adding the word partially. We're okay with that because currently with that access easement, Lot 8's unable to be developed. And without even a partial access easement, it still would be unable to be developed due to setback requirements. So I provided a slide with the numerous tentative map findings. Upon review, this subdivision this tentative map does meet all of the findings. Additionally, with the variance, staff concluded that the variance does meet all the findings, specifically with the special circumstances. So this property is an infill property. It's exceptional narrowness, shallowness, and shape. And there's exceptional topographic conditions within this subject site. Additionally, it should be noted that the variance request, while it does require a variance within our code, within Washoe County's code, it is consistent with the surrounding development, as the proposed subdivision is surrounded by City of Reno developments. Staff is recommending for tentative map case number 20-003 to be recommended with approval with conditions. In addition, staff is recommending that variance case number WPVAR 20-5 is also being recommended with approval for conditions. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions for staff at this time? Does the applicant have a presentation?
Yes, this is Derek Kirkland with Wood Rogers representing the applicant. We also have the applicant online, Douglas Barker as well, if you have a question for him, but I do have a presentation if you don't mind if I give that.
Sure.
You guys all see my screen?
Yes.
Thanks, Chris. Chris did a nice job walking through the project. So I'll try to be brief on and not double cover some things. So in terms of location, the only thing I'll add is this is an existing neighborhood that was built quite a long time ago. It's definitely seen a lot of different things coming in over the years, but I think one of the things that you'll notice is the way this development sits is at the entrance to this subdivision. I think there's a lot of opportunity with this infill project to actually clean up a lot of this area. And I think as you'll see in my presentation, with a lot of the grading and a lot of things, we work close with staff to try to situate things and work around code and really try to kind of clean up this area and extend some of the streets and do some things to kind of clean up the last piece of this older subdivision. As Chris mentioned, we could provide up to 20 lots. However, just due to site constraints and having to put some of the houses, concentrate the units into the more developable areas, we're actually at 18 lots instead of the 20. Reason for the common open space, a lot of this was man-made, created slopes when this project was first built. And over the years, this drainage has actually become somewhat of a dumping ground. There's a lot of dirt roads that zigzag back and forth through it. And so due to some of that and just kind of cleaning up some of the area, we were able to kind of cluster some of the units into the more developable areas and still be able to provide the open space and go back and kind of clean up that drainage area, channelize it, add a new retention basin, actually build a box culvert and extend some of the roadway networks. So we'll be doing quite a bit of work in that drainage area to accommodate this common open space development. We also added a community element as part of this, a little exercise node that'll be connected to the sidewalks. And again, minimum 6,000 square foot lots, which as you can see in a lot of the lots that are adjacent to us, there are some larger lots, but there are, similar size lots is what we're proposing with this development. Here's some photos of, give you an idea of just a lot of the dumping that's been going on into this, a lot of the fills that have been added. This is where basically the road, we'll be actually putting a box culvert on this top left area. And so you'll be able to connect the neighborhood a little bit better and be building some sidewalks, and just the overall connectivity will be much better and kind of clean up a lot of the dumping grounds and clean up this drainage area. This project is really about workforce housing. I think one of the things that the applicant Doug wants to do is create a nice product and add some value to this neighborhood, but keeping with that workforce housing, keep these affordable. I think the price point that Doug's looking at on these is going to be the mid-2 range. The nice thing about these new modern manufactured housing is there's different floor plan options. And a lot of the amenities that you see with these today are the same amenities that you would see with any new subdivision going in, whether it be stick built or not. Granite countertops to different flooring to different cabinetry. And what it does is it allows you to provide a product that is a workforce housing and then allow people to upgrade things, add square footages, and do different things based on kind of their income levels and what they would like out of the house. A lot of these will have detached single car garages that'll be built to match the architecture of the house. But again, just a really great opportunity with an infill site adjacent to an existing manufactured housing subdivision to add some workforce housing and kind of clean up an older neighborhood. Chris mentioned, with the shape of the parcels, we do have quite a few challenges. You have existing homes that we're dealing with. We have narrow parcel lines. We've got a drainage way, and so we've had to get pretty creative. And our engineers have spent a lot of time with staff, with Washoe County staff, engineers, and planning, to figure out how to make this project possible. And so I think that's ultimately, you can see where we're going to be coming in here and cleaning up the channel, the drainage area, kind of channelizing that, We do have some walls, and I'll get into that in a little more detail here, but really trying to utilize the area that we have to really create a nice workforce housing product, given the constraints of the site. So as Chris mentioned, some 3 variances that we're requesting. Part of the reason it's infill, we do have those edge conditions. It's oddly shaped parcels. There's nothing we can do about that. And so we've had to get creative, but there's at some point, we're just struggling with what we've been dealt, given past efforts on this property. And as Chris had mentioned, this isn't what we're asking for is not out of line. Surrounding the property is City of Reno, and a lot of the stuff that we're requesting variances for would be allowed under a City of Reno code. And so this is a pretty industry standard type stuff. And the walls that we'll be building, very, very minimal, over 6 feet, but they will be structural walls, and we will be working with Washoe County Engineering for more detail on those structural walls. And they've been used all over the place. So again, not something new, but these are necessary in order for us to make this project work. Just again, very few areas where we're going to have to put those walls, mainly along the drainage area, just because we are pinched for space along there in order to clean that up. Cuts exceeding 10 foot in depth. Mainly this is, we are going to be building some terraced walls in there to kind of mitigate for that. And then again, trying to make some road connections. It just makes it hard to connect existing road segments without having to fill some. And so we will be building some box culverts and doing some different stuff in overall connectivity, improving that connectivity of the existing neighborhood. As I mentioned, this is a workforce housing project, really looking to kind of clean up an old neighborhood, just a great opportunity. And we'll be available to answer any questions you have. I think some of the important things I'll point out, just as a kind of a last thing here, is Malcolm Avenue and Medgar, just that connection there over the drainage and that box culvert that we'll be putting in. But there is a retention area that we're going to be adding on this side, on the south side of Malcolm there. And then also Walner is an existing dirt road, and so we'll be actually improving, kind of doing some grading on that and making that connection a little bit better as well. And then as Chris had mentioned, there was a change to this 50-foot access easement. Clearly this access easement, no one's going to build a 50-foot road through there. There's several utilities through there. It really comes down to the word access. Because it's called a 50-foot access easement, we would have to meet the front setbacks with the 50-foot access easement. So by changing that or partially abandoning some of that, we'll be able to make Lot A work and still, give the neighbors peace of mind that we're not going to be taking away their easement. So that's kind of what that's about. And other than that, we concur with the rest of the conditions. And as I mentioned, we do have Doug Barker if you have any questions for him as well, but we'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys might have. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission
Prior to election day, the first argument really being around ballots and also
Not a question, just I drive by, I don't drive by it literally every day, but on my way into town, I see that area and it is quite blighted. So this is a marked improvement, and it's going to raise the caliber of that neighborhood.
I have a comment also. I'm kind of familiar with this piece of property.
Yes.
Putting up some campaign signs during some recent campaigns, and I agree. This is really a blighted piece of property, and you're taking on quite a challenge. So anything is an improvement to what's there now. And so that's the only statement that I have to Does anybody else have any?
We're confident about some of
Chair Chesney, I have a question for staff. This is Commissioner Donchik. Just a quick one regarding the traffic issue. Maybe I missed it here in all the reading and pages, but in June, RTC put their notice was that they had an issue with the development, where on Exhibit I, page 2, second paragraph, spacing of proposed new connection to North Virginia is approximately 125 feet from Lemon Drive and does not meet RTC access management standards. And then further down in there, they say the location of the two access points of Walnut Street into North Virginia fall within the limits of the existing southbound left turn pocket to Lemon Drive. We recommend all access within the functional area of the North Virginia Lemon intersection be limited to the existing access point and restricted to right in and right out only. That was in June. And then in September, Chris, you sent them another note for another update, and which is Exhibit I, the next page. And it says, please continue to follow recommendations set forth in the letter submitted on June 26, 2020. So I'm sorry, did I miss something? Is that all taken care of?
So that is a recommendation. We, unfortunately, Washoe County cannot enforce RTC requirements, which is why RTC's requirements are not within the conditions of approval. Engineering looked at the traffic areas, the egress and ingress, and we did not see anything detrimental or in line with what RTC provided to us.
All right, Chris, thank you for that clarification.
Okay, seeing none, I'm going to open this up for public comment. Is there any public comment?
No public comment.
Seeing there's no public comment, are there any further questions of the commissioners for staff or the applicant? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for any discussion. Is there any discussion? Seeing there is none, I guess I would call for a motion.
Commissioner Tresney, do they need to be done separately or can they be done concurrently?
Mr. Edwards, I believe that we can do them together, can't we?
Yes, you can do them both together.
Okay, so if you want to make the motion, both motions, well, let's see, we do each motion separately, but together.
At the same time.
Okay.
Just read each one of them. Put them together. All right, Chair Chesney.
I hope that's clear.
You're just.
I wish to make a motion.
Well, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I move that after giving reasoned consideration to the information contained in the staff report and the information received during the public hearing, the Washoe County Planning Commission approved tentative subdivision map case number WTM 20-003 for Hero Landing Holdings LLC with the conditions of approval included as Exhibit A for this matter, having made all 10 findings in accordance with Washoe County Code Section 110.608.25. I further move that giving reasoned consideration to the information contained in the staff report and information received during the public hearing, the Washoe County Planning Commission approved variance case number WPBAR 20-0005 for Hero Landings Holdings LLC with the conditions of approval included as Exhibit A for this matter, having made all 5 required findings in accordance with Washoe County Development Code 110.804.25.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Chair Chesney.
Commissioner,
Oh,
go ahead, Ms. Savilli-Check.
you can, Commissioner Payton, you can go forward.
Okay, Chair Chesney, I would like to second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Doncheck and a second
Mr.
by
Chair?
Payton.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes, you may.
I believe that the planner had one revision to the conditions of approval. I believe it was condition 1O as an Oscar to change from abandoning that easement to partially abandoning that easement.
I amend my, excuse me, I amend my motion to include the amendments to that, brain dead, to that easement.
Okay. Commissioner Payton, do you acknowledge the modification to the motion?
Chair Chesney, I would like to acknowledge the modification and second it again.
Mr. Payton. Okay. That being said, is there any discussion on the motion? Being none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearings and move to agenda item 9, chair and commission items. Do we have any future agenda items? Okay, 8B, is there any, huh? Excuse me, it's 9, future agenda items. To what? No, they haven't. The only thing that we moved were the 2 items that we're moving to the meeting of the 16th. So are there any future agenda items? Seeing none, are there any requests for information from staff? Do we have any directors and legal counsel items?
I was given nothing to report, sir.
Thank you. Anything from legal? Nate, do you have anything for us?
I do tonight. So in our office, we've had some changes within the last year. They mostly took effect right before the shutdown because of the pandemic back in February. And so we've all been sort of focused on that for the last, 8 months or so. And that's been hectic. One of those changes was that I got promoted to the chief position in the DA's office in my unit. And so I'll be supervising that unit now, which consists of 10 lawyers at the DA's office. And going along with that is that you're going to be getting a new attorney for you to represent the Planning Commission. And her name is Jen Gustafson. She is on the meeting tonight, but as an audience member, she was watching just to start getting up to speed. I think you're going to like her. She's excited about the assignment and has a lot of enthusiasm about it. She's really bright and she's got some good experience in her background. So you will be seeing her more as we move along. I may help out in part with the next meeting of this month, but the transition is underway. So Jen is going to be taking that over for me. So this will be one of my last planning commission meetings on this road. So I want to announce that tonight and let you all know.
Thank you, Nathan, for all you've done.
Congratulations, Nate, and welcome.
Thank you.
Commissioner Savos.
Thank you, Nate. Your leadership will be missed, though. You have been exceptional as you've navigated this planning commission through regional plan update and stuff. So I just want to applaud that and congratulate you on your promotion.
Thank you very much.
Do any of the other commissioners have anything to say to the new, what's your position, Nate?
Chief Deputy
Chair
District
Chesney, I
Attorney.
just want,
Okay, hey, yeah, we're
Chair
gonna,
Chesney,
I'm gonna miss you. Your council. Every time I start to go off the rails, you put me back.
Sometime.
So,
I think Commissioner Doncheck had a.
oh,
I just want,
Commissioner Doncheck, do you have something?
I just wanted to concur with what Commissioner Cheryl said. It's been a pleasure working with him. It was always nice to see him with his last coffee minute run into the chambers, but your knowledge and everything has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chair Chesney,
Yes.
I just want to say thank you, Nate, for all the help you've given me. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. And I'll miss you all too. This has been my favorite assignment that I've had in my whole legal career. So, yeah, 20 years worth at this point. So that's saying something, and I will miss this a lot.
You're not going away forever. We'll bump into you
We'll
sooner or
see you in
later.
2 weeks.
We'll track you down, Nate. You can't get away from us. Okay, that being said, is there any, we move on to item 11 on the agenda, general public comment. Is there any general public comment?
Chair Chesney.
Commissioner Svelacek?
Yes. I just would like to acknowledge that this is Chair Chesney's birthday today, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday! Yay!
Happy birthday! Woohoo!
Oh, wow.
If I didn't know I was going to live this long, I'd take care of myself after that.
Chair Chesney, I would just like to say that this is your birthday song. It's not very long, but happy birthday.
Okay, do we have any general public comment?
No, we do not.
Seeing none, I would request a motion to move.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so moved. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Take care, everybody. See you next
Happy
week.
birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nate.
Bye.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.